So a few months ago I made my first corset and I filmed the whole process, and yeah, so here's how it went. So I used all of these things for it. I did not use real boning, I just used cable ties because it was the first time making this, so I didn't want to spend too much money on it. I also bought these ribbons in different sizes, but I did not use all of them, just 2 sizes actually. And then I used this fabric as the main fabric for the corset. It's an old tablecloth I got secondhand, but I really like the color and also the material is quite sturdy, so I thought it's a good choice. And in the end I actually ended up using this fabric as like the main fabric and also the lining. Also, I decided to make my life a bit harder and not follow a single tutorial. I did watch some before I started, but I did not really follow anything, and maybe I should have, because the corset turned out not to be as sturdy as I wanted it to be. It feels more like a top. It doesn't really feel like a real corset, but it still kind of works. It still gives you the shape. And yeah, so I made my own pattern. You can see it here. I used some newspapers again. I always do that. And I put it on the mannequin. I cut the pieces, made changes, and just looked at it until I liked the shape. Yeah, so once I was happy with the shape, I just transferred the pattern onto my fabric and I cut every single piece 4 times for like the lining and like the main fabric, and then I put everything on the mannequin. And I did add some seam allowance, but not too much. I checked on the mannequin and I checked on me because the mannequin is a bit bigger than me, so I had to check how much like seam allowance I'm supposed to add. Also, the reason why the color of the fabric looks so different is because this is during the night, so that's why it looks different. But basically, once I had everything, I just started sewing everything together. Yes, so at the end I had 4 separate pieces like you can see here, and each piece consisted like of 3 pieces, and then also like the 2 straps that you can see on the right side. And yeah, so I just made a simple stitch, and all of them look the same, and basically all I did afterwards is just like put the right sides together, like overlap them like this, and then sew the edges shut. And then I also still had to make like the little holes, tubes for the boning, which I added later after I sewed the pieces together. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is that I did iron every single piece because it's easier to work with, so I also wanted the edges to be nice and flat, so it's easier to sew them together. So that's what you can see here. So as you can see here, the boning is already inside, and I did sew the edges shut, but only on the top. I forgot to mention the bottom part stayed open, so I can actually put the boning inside. And the edges were quite rough, it didn't look nice, and that's why I used the ribbons. So I used the ribbons to like clean up the edges, make it look nice, also to give it some details, so it's not just one color. And once I had that, the boning was inside, I sewed the bottom shut. Also, I removed this triangle part there, so the one you can see on the bottom, so I just removed it, so it's like a clean edge, because it was just like a mistake I did in the pattern. I didn't realize that it looked weird when you put it on actually. So yeah, I also made these holes for the ribbon to slide it through, and this is how it turned out. So I think I can definitely improve a lot of things, but it was my first time making one, so I think it actually turned out okay.